Hey, this morning, over the next about 15, 20 minutes, we want to hear from Your Church admin team. I've asked Pastor Dave Anderson and our friend Andrew Schneider to help chair this conversation. Right at the end of the year, this is the time of year. I don't know about you, but it feels like I'm spending more money, and this is the time of year I'm like, man, can we pump the brakes? I don't know where the Christmas budget's at, but it always feels like it's redlining us. But we want to talk for a few minutes about year-end financial tips, how to make this close of 2025 as fiscally responsible for ourselves and our churches. So, Dave, Andrew, it's all you, man. I'm kicking it to you.
Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you virtually. And I love any Zoom call where I can share my screen and show you slides. So here we are. Dave and I, it's our heart to talk about year-end financial items, tips, things that you should be considering as we go towards the end of the year. So this is going to be you're going to get this is on brand, a cornucopia of tips and topics. So, first thing I want to talk about is something that as we do payroll for churches, we are commonly correcting, which is bonuses and Christmas gifts. Anything of value that an employer provides to an employee, anything that a church is providing to its minister, it has to be taxed and reported, whether on their W-2 or a 1099. So obviously cash bonuses or checks, that needs to be reported. It doesn't matter that you call it a gift. The IRS calls it a compensation. Gift cards are, in the eyes of the IRS, gift cards are cash. They're the same thing. So, if you're giving so I would say, don't give gift cards to your employees. Volunteers, ministry leaders, yes, but don't give gift cards to your employees. Because it's the same thing as cash, and you're going to create then reporting issues as you account for that on their W-2. Accounting for a gift card on a W-2 creates some reporting issues. So you may as well just write them a check. The only exceptions are de minimis gifts, so something that's tangible. So like the classic example is, you can't give somebody a gift card to go get a steak dinner is taxable, but actually buying them a steak dinner is not taxable. So you can do anything de minimis like that. Any tangible gifts are tax free. So let's talk salary increases. This is the time where hopefully you've narrowed this down, or you've got a procedure for addressing this. But I want to bring it up. The most recent cost of living increase from the Social Security Administration was 2.8%. That's for 2026. So I think that's a good benchmark for you if you're trying to figure out what an appropriate cost of living should be. Using the Social Security Administration's cost of living, I think, is a really good benchmark. It's stable, it's pretty steady, it's tied to inflation. They do all of the research for you and they give you this number. So I think that's helpful. Dave, you've been an exec pastor. Can you and you've managed many employees over the years. Can you just give us your thoughts on how should we be approaching salary increases and things like that?
Yeah, I would love to do that. So here's what we recommend here at Your Church Admin for churches, and I think this worked well in the business world for me. Is no one likes trying to figure out who to give a raise, how much. I would recommend that you sort of establish a formula, and we recommend you do a sort of a bonus structure when doing pay increases. And it's for this reason. Let's say you have a youth pastor that killed it in 2025. So you give him a huge raise. Well, 2026, not so good. It's really hard to take that back. If you've given him a big raise, it's hard to reduce his income. So it's better to reward things like that in a budget structure than just giving out a salary increase. So we recommend giving a cost of living increase, like Andrew just mentioned. And at the same time, I would establish what I call some measurable milestones. These are things that you would give a pay increase for. Uh, and you define those, and so it makes coming up with those numbers much easier. These would be things like maybe years of service, or if somebody advances in their credentials, maybe they're certified and they go to licensed. Education is a big one. Reward people for continuing their education. Or changes in titles or responsibilities. Maybe your youth pastor becomes your executive pastor. Those are reasons that you would give an ongoing salary increase for. And again, define those in writing. Have that done, before you start considering these raises, and it just makes the process so much easier. And you can do it fairly across your whole staff. Now, bonuses. Better for everything else, paying out bonuses. Connect bonuses to measurable goals. Have an annual review and say, these are the things that we want you to accomplish this year, and then pay bonuses accordingly. These would be like completed projects or increases in growth, those types of things. Pay bonuses for busy seasons. Maybe your youth pastor was out for a few months and your kids pastor had to step up and fill in, or just other exceptional services, and just really good work that a staff member's done throughout the year. Pay a bonus for that. That encourages excellence. It rewards hard work, and it reinforces appreciation. And you're not locked to it for forever. Bonuses can be adjusted. It allows your leadership to evaluate the financial health of the church annually before awarding extra compensation. And so you can pause bonuses or adjust bonuses as needed, based on your financial health or performance, and prevent you from being in the awkward, ugly position of having to do a salary freeze or having to reduce someone's payroll. So that's why we recommend a bonus structure. It just saves you from being locked into salaries that either you can't afford or maybe staff is no longer entitled to.
Very good. Yeah. As somebody who's been in those positions before of having to, figure out ways to save money and the inability to give raises, I think, yeah, reward performance with bonuses, reward changes in position, permanent things with a raise. Just short wage update. State of Illinois minimum wage has been going up $1 a year for the last 5 years. Praise the Lord, we've reached the top. We're staying at 15 an hour for 2026. So just make sure, as always, even though there's not a change for 2026, make sure that all your employees are at this threshold. And if you're paying like part-time employees with a stipend, so they're just getting $250 a week or something like that, that's okay. But there is still a requirement that they're making at least minimum wage. Okay, so if someone's earning a $150 stipend a week, what that means is you have a responsibility to ensure that they're not working more than 10 hours. Because if they're working more than 10 hours and they're earning $150, that's the $15 an hour threshold. And if they're working 20 hours, earning that $150, now you're out of compliance. So make sure that you have eyes on that. And then, I see this consistently where we've got part-time ministerial employees, bivocational individuals. Make sure that they have access to a housing allowance, that you're offering that to them. It is totally appropriate, particularly for a bivocational or part-time minister, to receive their entire church compensation as housing allowance. That's totally appropriate and recommended if that's above their actual housing expenses. So make sure that you're offering that, and talk if you've got, this is particularly important for if you've got staff pastors who wouldn't know, they don't know that they haven't been in the ministry for 30 years. They don't have all this history. Walking them through that, I think, is valuable, and that's part of good staff leadership. And then, of course, just from the like dotting I's and crossing T's, make sure that you're approving your I put 2025. Make sure you're approving your 2026 housing allowances in advance. Okay. This is also a good time to look at your compensation structure. So I'm always interested in finding ways to pay ministers without incurring taxes. Okay. And so, one way that you can do this is making sure that if you or your staff have any unreimbursed expenses, that you shift those to be reimbursed by the church. Okay. So, things that can be reimbursed to you or paid on your behalf directly, totally tax free, would be your tithe to the district. So your church can directly pay the district your tithe, and in so doing, you incur no taxes on that. Whereas if the church is paying you and then you're paying the district your tithe, you're likely not receiving the full taxable benefit of that. You might be deducting it as a business expense, but I can tell you you're not getting the full deduction for doing so. So tithes, dues to the general council, of course, your mileage, any resources that you're using. If you have a logo subscription, which those can be expensive, if you're paying that out of pocket, have the church, make an agreement with the church where they cover that expense, and then that way that's being done tax free. Um, Conferences, this is an opportunity where if you are going to take your family on vacation the first week of August, you can take them to general council, and um, and then and that's not sketchy. That's totally on the up and up, where the church can pay your travel to go do that. And there's rules around what proportion of the total cost the church can tax free reimburse, but it can be significant. And doing these things again, depending on your marginal tax rate, we're talking 30 to 40 cents on the dollar. So the ability to take $1,000 of salary and move that from salary to tax-free reimbursement, you're talking you could have a $300-400 tax savings on just that same $1,000. So, question from the chat: uh, How do we set up paying your tithe directly to the district and general council? To the district, the church can go to our website, idcag.org, and the church can set up an online gift, or you can send a check directly to the district and just note which ministers this is tithe for, the tithe is being paid for. And that way we can then allocate it and make sure that we are marking and saying, okay, Bree has paid her tithe in this amount, and it was paid on her behalf by the church. But the general council, that it is paid generally at renewal time. And so ways that churches will do that is they'll have the minister use like the church credit card or debit card to pay the renewal. And that's a way where then the church is incurring the cost for the renewal. And then you can work this out where it's a part of the minister's compensation. So it's not just additional expenses for the church. You can work it out so it's structured as a part of the compensation, if that makes sense. So, Dave, you're the budget man. Talk to us about the budget.
Yeah, it's that time of year. We're working with a lot of churches right now with their 2026 budgets. If you don't have a budget, get one. There's no way you can know if your church is financially healthy. I'm just going to say what I think. You're not a good steward of your finances if you're not working with a budget. So if you don't have one, get together, get one put together. You should be just about done. I just want to mention a couple of common areas that get missed that we see a lot. We talked about salary numbers a second ago. Many churches will put together their 2026 budget before they review their salary increases. And I know for me, I always did that because I enjoyed the budget part. I enjoyed putting that together. But the whole salary thing can kind of be mentally taxing, trying to figure out who deserves what. So I'd always do that second. Now, what a lot of churches do is they don't go and update the budget. And so they go into 2026 with 2025 salary numbers, and it takes them a few months of, budget shortfalls to figure out what happened, and they have to update it later. So just make sure in your 2026 budget, that reflects any 2026 salary increases. The next one is one I'm a big believer in, and we don't see a lot of churches doing this. I think you should have an emergency or capital improvement fund. I guarantee you're going to have some sort of emergency repair in 2026. Sewer's going to back up, water heater go out. Why not plan for it? If you got a $3,000 sewer repair, don't have a panic attack. How am I going to pay for this? Establish a fund now where you start investing money into an account just for those types of things. Capital improvement fund. I guarantee you that at some point you're going to need to reseal your parking lot. That's probably $80,000, $100,000. It's a big expense. You're going to have to do it at some point. Why not prepare for it? Start, each month, take a little bit of money out of your income, put it in a CD or somewhere separate from checking, because if it's in checking, it's probably going to get spent. Invest it somewhere, keep it safe. So when those things happen, when it's time, you're prepared. Just some numbers here to consider. If your building is 0 to 10 years old, we recommend that you budget 1 to 3% for repairs in capital reserve. 10 to 20 years, 3 to 5%. And if your building's over 20 years old, we recommend you budget somewhere between 5 and 10%. Now, I know what you're thinking. Dave, you're crazy. How do you expect us to invest 10% of our money towards a capital expense or an emergency repair? I understand that. That sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money. But here's what I also want you to understand. You're going to spend that money. These are things that are going to come up, and you're going to have to make these repairs. You're going to have to, do this maintenance. So why not prepare for it? So when the time comes, you're not scrambling around trying to figure out how to take care of a problem.
Hey, I want to shout out Pastor Ron Heitman's church. They do a good job of this. They have just a part of their monthly entries. They have a transfer that they do every month to put money away for capital expenses. And that's, I think, it's a part of their budget process. The board's all aware of it, and it just runs like clockwork. Every month they're putting money away, and I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. One other thing, just while we're talking facilities, not really related to the budget, but it's cold outside. It's going to get down to like single digits, possibly negative numbers over the next couple of days. This is like burst pipes weather. So make sure from a facility perspective that you're buttoned up on that. Every year we have somebody in the district that has a pipe that bursts, and then we're talking huge insurance claim. And while insurance may likely cover that, as many of us have learned, just because they'll cover it, that means they may also drop you. The insurance companies view pipe bursts as like an at-fault claim, where they put you at fault. It's not like where there's a tornado that comes, there's nothing you could have done about it. They view a pipe burst because of cold weather as something that you could have prevented. And so make sure that you are you're buttoned up on that. Okay. Dave, talk to us about our member database.
Yeah, so as you know, the IRS requires that churches send out giving statements every year. You have to do it, legally required to. You have to send them out before January 31st. And you're probably thinking, January 31st, we have all the time in the world to get this done. Well, you do have a lot of time, but I guarantee you that date is going to sneak up on you during this holiday season. You're going to get busy doing all the stuff we do, and it's going to be January. So we recommend you take a little time now to do some cleanup work. So when it's time to get those out, it'll make it much smoother. You'll appreciate this. If not you, your bookkeeper will appreciate this advice, I guarantee you, in the new year. The first thing, get with your bookkeeper and make sure that donor giving is being recorded and that it's up to date. Never assume. We've had a couple phone calls from churches panicking where they've discovered that they haven't tracked it for the whole year, and they figure this out in January. So they're trying to get those records caught up, for the entire year. It doesn't happen a lot, but it can happen. So if I were you, I would sleep better tonight knowing that everything's caught up and it's good and we're in good shape. The second thing is run a report from whatever membership software you're using, whether it's Shelby or Planning Center or whatever, of all of your members. Now, the software refers to it as members. It's not really church members. It's people who attend or people who have given it at some point. Run a report and go through that report. I can tell you there's going to be duplicate entries. Say a family shows up for the first time on a Sunday, they fill out a Connect card. At the same time, the mom goes over to kids' church and checks the kids in, and those two files don't get merged, so they're listed in your membership software as two different families. Or maybe they show up for an event, or there's all kinds of things that can cause this. So you have single families entered into your donor software multiple times. Why is it important to clean that up? Well, do you want to mail or email 3 giving statements to the same family? No. And also, this is really even maybe the more important part. Whatever software you're using to manage donations and members, they determine your billing by the amount of members or families that are you have recorded in the software. So if you have multiple families that are listed multiple times, that inflates the numbers that you have in your software. So you're going to be charged more for it. So take some time now, run those reports, highlight the duplicate families, and almost every software option has a very simple process where you just kind of click on the names. There's a button somewhere that says merge files. It takes all those duplicate entries and makes them one family. You send out one giving statement and you're not billed for the same family multiple times.
Good stuff, Dave. Good stuff. Last slide from us. I get a ton of questions about this, and we won't cover all of those here, but just briefly, healthcare options. If you're on the marketplace, as a minister, make sure that your housing allowance is not a part of your income calculation. So, as the subsidies, I don't know if you've been plugged in with what Congress is doing, but this is a huge topic of conversation at the political level. Make sure that your housing allowance is not included in your income calculation as you're going to the marketplace. Second, if you're paying just cash stipends to employees to cover their insurance, make sure that that's being run as a taxable amount, because it is taxable unless it's in a specific regulated healthcare vehicle. If you or your staff are primarily on a spouse's employer plan, so like maybe you're pastor at a church and you're on your spouse's employer's insurance plan, and you're paying those costs to be on that plan out of pocket, you may consider setting up what's called an ICHRA, an individual coverage health reimbursement arrangement, at your church. And in that way, there's some rules and regulations. I could help you with this, but in that way, you could receive tax-free dollars to be used to pay the premiums to be on your spouse's insurance plan. And so that's another way for you to receive tax-free dollars from the church. So if you are in that scenario, consider setting up an ICHRA. Send me an email. We can help you with that. And then lastly, I see this a lot. If you're contributing to an HSA, you must have a qualified HDHP, a high deductible health plan. I see this a lot where folks had an old HSA and they're having their church put money into it, and that's how they're sort of funding their health care, but they don't have an eligible plan, and that's like mildly illegal. So make sure that if you're doing an HSA, that you have a qualified plan for that. Respectfully submitted, our chair, Pastor Joel. Those are year-end financial tips.